Welcome back, crew. This year is shaping up to be a huge year for the tabletop industry with a ton of new properties releasing, with new games being announced pretty much every week, it feels like. And even for somebody like me that tries to keep in touch with what's going on and kind of mark out my favorites and back Kickstarters where I think will be a fun game, it can be overwhelming and easy to miss out on different opportunities or different RPGs that are coming your way. So today, after a little conversation in my Discord, I decided, hey, let's build our most anticipated games coming out for 2023. And to put a little clarity on it, we're going for games where the hard cover and the PDF are available to purchase by 2023. A couple of these ones on the list, the PDF may already be out, but I love having that hard copy in my hand. I don't really consider it fully released until the hard copy's there. So we're going to go through those. Before we dive in, I do want to give two honorable mentions. The first one, to Mothership RPG. I love that one. I feel like I've played that for like about a year and a half ago with their free rules, which are completely free. I'm gonna put a link to all the different ones to either their Kickstarters or pre-order pages or their rule set. And the Mothership ones are completely free for just online use. But they're coming out with their hardcover sometime in 2023. So looking forward to that one. That'll definitely be a one shot on this channel or maybe a game of the month too, depending. But that's a fun system, great sci-fi horror game. Keep an eye on that one too as it does its full release. The other one is Paizo's Pathfinder 2E system. They're doing a little bit of an update to their kind of their base rules. Cool thing coming out of that one because they're kind of distancing themselves from the OGL and D&D, I should say, and changing some of their properties there. One thing I'm super excited for is they're getting rid of the alignment system. I wasn't a huge fan of that, if you remember from my review. But I'm stoked to see what other changes they come along with that. And we have some update videos too as those get released. I didn't want to include them there because this is an update to an existing kind of RPG, and they've made it very clear it's not a new edition or even a point 0.5. So I'm not going to kind of put it in its own category there. But we've got six RPGs that kind of did a little bit of scouring after I found out a new one, and I'll mention what the new one was that I had no clue was coming. I wanted to kind of make sure I was up to date and some cool stuff that's coming our way. That will most likely all of these I think will at least either have a one shot or definitely a game of the month on the channel. So stay tuned for these ones as well. But let's dive into it. So my first one that I wanted to give a shout out to is the Marvel Multiverse system using their kind of D616 approach. I didn't get a chance to check out the playtest they did, but I'm a huge Marvel and comics fan. It's right behind Star Wars for me. Kind of like a little picture behind me too. Got to get some comic love in there as well. But a big X-Men fan, huge Silver Surfer fan, and I love kind of having a system that be dedicated to like, bringing those stories to the table. And especially, I want superhero games to get more love, and I didn't get a chance to bring the playtest, but from what I've heard, it's a little bit easier to build a PC with this system. And if you watch this channel, you know I'm a huge Mutants and Masterminds fan, and we play Champions 6E as our game of the month. Little shout out there too. But both those systems, building a character can be complex. Some of the rules can be very complex as well, which can be a little dissuading to newcomers. I'm hoping with Disney money, Marvel money behind this, that we can get a great tabletop RPG that helps you emulate bringing superheroics to the table that's accessible to the wide market. So, really hope it's for some good things on this one. And just to kind of a system that's dedicated to bringing like just those heroes, like the iconic Marvel heroes to the table, should hopefully be fun. Especially if you've been around for a while and played some of the old '90s tabletop Marvel games, or I think they had one of the thousands too. They've been around this place for a bit. They've just been kind of absent for the last 10 years or so. So it'd be cool to have them come to the market with this new system, especially with the MCU being such a dominant force in the culture. I'm expecting big things. So with that, the next big one, we're gonna go pick on one that kind of got me making this video. The Monty Python's curricular medieval reenactment program. Had to pause there on that one. They got a lot in there, and you say they cross out role playing game and say no, it isn't. Monty Python humor there. I love the Monty Python movies. My players were excited for this one when I just let them know that I stumbled across this just going through Kickstarter stuff. But this one, it's they based it off. It's not like based off the Holy Grail or anything like that. It's kind of a way to play games in a similar style to the Monty Python movies. And I think this would be a hilarious one. This would be great for one shots, especially if you want to get your players into a of a jovial mood, I think this would be a fun one to do so with. And if you've seen my players, then go check out our latest Karen adventure, which rather than being dark and broody, did get a little bit silly and Monty Python-esque. This could be a great way if you're the game master, you want to get your group's giggles out of the way, throw them a Monty Python session and let it get crazy. So definitely looking forward to check that one out. I know it's 2023. I couldn't find the release date. I think it's like June-ish or maybe a little bit later, or probably actually a little later, probably about August-ish. But that one's coming soon, and definitely I pre-ordered mine. When we get that in, we'll have. I'm not sure if we're gonna do a game of the month for it, but we'll definitely have some one shots on the server with it. So another big one that's coming this year. This is from one of my favorite game developers, Free League. Dragonbane is coming. This one I'm stoked for. It's basically it's sort of fantasy RPG. It's like Sweden, I think, like one of their number one ones. It's been around for about 40 years or so. They're doing a relaunch of it and updating it. This is what I actually already have the PDF for. I haven't really actually had a yeah, I like to read the games once I have the hardcover, so I haven't really looked at this at all. But from what I've heard, great things about it. It's a faster-based system, fantasy generator. It's from what I've heard, it's going to be a great alternative for those looking to branch out from 5e, with quick-based combat, quick-based kind of experience, with a little bit more of a lethal system, so kind of get that OSR feel a little bit too. So this one's a big one. This is definitely going to be a game of the month once it comes out. I don't know when this was released. I thought I heard summer of this year, so that could be any day now. Definitely by 2023, we should have a copy of this. And that probably that next month, we'll throw it as one of our games of the month. With that too, another big one that's coming out this year is the Die RPG. This is going to be based off Kieran Gillian's Die comic book. I haven't read the comic books myself, but I saw this on comicbook.com that Kieran Gillian, I loved his run of the X-Men for 2010s or so, is making an RPG along with Rowan, Rook, and Descartes as well for the publishers. But I had to jump in on this. So I did back their pre-order, and I'm going to be reading some of the comics before it comes out. From what I've seen of the system, this is another one I've got the PDF, but I don't read till I get the hardcover. But from what I've seen so far, it has like a cool system with the dice being correlated to your class. And each class having a different, one class would be a D6, one would be a D12. You have your features correlate to that dice. So really kind of bringing the dice die part into it, as well as that kind of the overall die things there too from the comic book. So excited for that one. I like Kieran Gillian's work, so I'm hoping that the comic is fun and the TTRPG represents as well. I feel like comics are a great property to kind of jump a little bit harder into that tabletop space. Speaking of comics jumping into the tabletop space, the big one, this is probably the one I'm most excited for. The Walking Dead is coming out with their own game for the tabletop space. And the best thing about this too is my favorite publisher, one of my favorite publishers, Free League and Paizo are both right up there. But Free League is coming out with this, and I've wanted a zombie game forever that's going to be made by a really reputable publisher and has some fun mechanics tied to it. They're using I think Engine Zero is what they call it, the same one they use for the Alien system, but they're tweaking it to make it fit the Walking Dead universe, and I am stoked for this one. I've heard it's coming out in October, and that's definitely, as soon as I get a book in my hand, that's going to be our game of the month that next month. I've wanted some fun zombie adventures. I think this is like the perfect, and if it comes out in October, the perfect Halloween game. So hopefully we'll be able to play it around then too. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Just because there's so many cool things you can tell with zombie stories, and I know it's Walking Dead branded, but don't let that not dissuade you, but don't let that kind of dominate the space. Aliens was Alien branded, but you could tell a lot of sci-fi horror stories with it. I'm hoping this is be a great system to tell a lot of like zombie post-apocalyptic world stories too. So I'm definitely excited for this and seeing what Free League does with it. This one, the PDF hasn't come out yet. I think it's supposed to be coming out in the next month or so. But as always, I always hold off until I actually get the book in my hand. Another big one that I'm excited for. This is what I discovered today as I was doing my deep dive for new 2023 RPGs. Is the Old Gods of Appalachia is coming out with their own tabletop RPG, which should be released, I think, late summer, early fall. If you're not familiar with this one, it's a really amazing podcast. Go check out that podcast. It's one of the few podcasts my wife and I both enjoy, so we usually watch it on or listen to it, I should say, on long trips. I'm hoping to bully her into playing This Is the Game of the Month with us. So stay tuned. We get to meet my wife on the stream as well. But this is a really cool property for those. I mean, for those who are familiar, it's based off of kind of in the Appalachia area, so think West Virginia, Kentucky, kind of that just general vicinity. It has like a mythological feel with it being set in between the late 1800s and early 1930s or 40s. I think is the latest it's went to, and it's got like all of these like zombies and ghouls and people with magic powers and it's like the senses. And it's just it's a whole story, but it's wrapped up into the history of America, and especially the Appalachians and the poor kind of coal mining area as well. They bring all that in. They do so well with the podcast that I'm looking forward to seeing what the tabletop RPG does too. I think it's gonna be a fun one to tell some unique stories, and it's kind of wrapped in our country's history too, which is be fun too. So that's definitely gonna be a game of the month, and hopefully we'll get my wife on board to play with us too. Yeah, those are kind of a quick look at the 6 RPGs I think are just got me excited coming out. There's a ton more coming out this year too. I was just looking through list and list of different ones, and like there's just a plethora of them out there. Shout out in the comments if I didn't cover one of the ones you're excited for, put it in there. I may have missed it, or definitely maybe one that I need to get a little bit more hyped for too. But yeah, this was just kind of a quick look through there. There's a wide world of tabletop RPGs there, and one of my big missions for my channel was to get people out of the just the 5e domination space. I love D&D 5e. Not trying to trash it, but there are so many cool RPGs like the ones we've talked about, some of the other ones we covered on the channel, and I want to make sure they get their shine. So check our description. There'll be links to each of these tabletop RPGs we discussed. So The Walking Dead, Marvel Multiverse, Dragonbane, the Monty Python one. I'm not doing the whole name again. The Old Gods. That's my Die RPG. All of those will have links down in the description. Check them out. Go back these guys if you haven't. These are all great companies. Definitely some fun RPGs you can bring to you and your table. But like, subscribe. Our May game of the month is Champions. As I mentioned, I'm a huge comic fan. If you want to see another hero system at work, come through, follow us. We're going to be diving into that, building a PC this Saturday, and building our own little superheroic person there. And then definitely make sure to come through for our game of the month, May 25th, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for your chance to win a free PDF copy of the Champions RPG and get to see it played live at the table. But yeah, like, subscribe, drop some comments about some cool RPGs you're excited for. Yeah, till next time, folks.